Words have power. So do images. They can change lives for better or worse. But some people use messages that violate other people's rights to dignity, equality, and safety. So when does free speech become criminal hate speech? And how do we best respond to it? There's no agreed definition of hate speech. That's why, in some cases, those with privilege try and discredit critics by opportunistically accusing them of hate speech. Usually, hate speech is classified as derogatory or discriminatory language towards an individual or group based on their religious beliefs, ethnicity, race, or nationality. The UN Strategy and Plan of Action on Hate Speech includes sex and gender. International law dictates that some of this speech shouldn't be protected. In other words, some can be criminalized, only when it is linked to incitement to violence, hostility, or discrimination, and to racism. Two helpful guidelines here are the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, ICCPR, and the International Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Racial Discrimination, CERD. Additionally, the United Nations Rabat Plan of Action on the Prohibition of Incitement to Hatred advises us at which point specific speech crosses the line into causing violence, hostility, or discrimination. These three instruments have helped lawmakers define and courts to assess whether speech qualifies as hate speech and what to do about it. And especially what to do when hateful expression is not directly linked to hate crimes involving incitement and/or racism. While internet companies today have to obey laws prohibiting hate speech, there is a question of how they interpret and implement these laws in practice. There is also a question of how they treat hateful content that appears to be within the law, like whether they tolerate, delete, or downgrade it. Tech companies are working to address these problems, especially after advertiser boycotts and accusations that profits are generated by allowing hate to proliferate online, while not spending serious money to combat it. But the way they treat hateful content remains vague and hidden from independent research and public scrutiny. It's unclear when or why algorithms automatically recommend, downgrade, or remove hateful content or groups. And although they use artificial intelligence to manage the issue, this doesn't sufficiently cater for the context of words and images. The risk is that news reports on hate speech are caught in the net, while coded words and images for hate are not recognized. Another problem is inaction by the companies, even though with their data they can see when hateful content begins to scale to incitement and organizing of attacks. Key strategies to address this problem? First, promoting internet transparency is key if companies are to fall in line and deliver full respect for human rights, maintaining people's dignity and safety, while legitimate expression is allowed and indeed promoted. Second, ensuring that journalists are free to report and expose hate speech, working without fear when they call out leaders and their followers who whip up anger through insulting stereotypes and memes. Third, supporting citizens through building their media and information literacy so they can recognize and respond to hate speech through critical thinking and human rights awareness. Navigating the fine line between free speech and hate speech isn't easy. But in the interests of protecting human rights for all, we can and must work together more intensively to address the problem, without silencing free expression and the benefits it has for democracy, development, and human rights.